Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. We're really excited to finally have the Goat Power Bikes Dirt Goat 96 volt V2. So this is the brand new upgraded version that just came out, and we're going to go over some of the upgraded parts, some of the specs of this bike, and also, like always, take it out for our first ride and give you our first riding impressions. Now, just like any Goat Power Bikes on their website, we can save you 5% on your entire order by using code EASYHEIMER. And we'll put that in the description below. So some nice savings that we can pass on to you. And it also helps out the channel. All right, so let's get into it. So this is available on their site right now for $5,250. And you might think that's kind of expensive, but for what you get with this bike, it really is a bargain. Now this thing weighs 200 pounds, so it's on the heavier side, but it has some chunk to it. And also that battery weighs about 50 pounds on its own. So if you take the battery out of the equation, this bike is around 150 pounds. But compared to something like the Sur-Ron, this thing is a lot more substantial and beefy. Now this bike is advertised to do an incredible 65 miles per hour for a top speed, and we're going to put that to the test. But like we always say, you really have to meet the perfect conditions to get that 65 miles per hour. So we're going to see what we can get this thing up to, weighing 260 pounds. Now guys, the incredible thing about this bike is it has the biggest stock battery of all the electric dirt bikes on the market today. This is a 96 volt 50 amp hour battery, and it's made with Samsung 50S cells. So really high quality cells in this thing, and you get a whopping 4,800 watt hours. So the range on this bike is far more than anything you can get stock on the market today. Now they do give you a really nice charger that will get this thing charged from 0 to 100 in just 4 hours. Now the motor powering this Dirt Goat 96 volt is a 6,000 watt motor that peaks at 15,000 watts. So some really nice power there. And this is a direct drive motor. So it's direct drive with a chain. So this thing should be pretty loud compared to something that has a jack shaft or even a gearbox. So we're going to see how this thing sounds while we're out riding. It also has a 120 amp controller. So some pretty serious power with this thing. And honestly, I think that's more than enough power. You get a lot of these bikes that have insane power that you really don't need. I think it's really just a power flex game right now with the electric dirt bikes. So we'll see how this thing feels while we're out riding it, but I don't think it's going to have any lack of power. And you actually get 465 Newton meters of torque out of this. So no slouch as far as torque goes. Now, as far as the braking goes on here, you get XOD 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes with 220 millimeter rotors. And you also get some nice heat sinks on here. So that should dissipate some of the heat really quickly. So really nice that Goat Power Bikes put substantial braking on here. Now you also get 4 levels of regen braking on here, so that should help with the braking power and should save you some brake pads. Now they did upgrade the suspension on the V2, and you get KKE back and front, and these are fully adjustable, so you get the adjustable shock in the back as well as the adjustable forks in the front. And those are some beefy forks, and we'll show you that in just a second. Now, as far as the tires go, these things have really meaty, beefy tires from CST. Now, the front tire is a 70-119, and the rear is an insane 90-118. And guys, this thing is super wide, super chunky, and I'm not sure if that comes over well on the camera, but this thing is the biggest tire we've seen on one of these electric dirt bikes. And this should give you a lot of grip while you're out on the trails. We're actually going to get a Supermoto set on here. So if you recommend a certain Supermoto set that we should put on here, let us know in the comment section below. But really excited to do that and see how this thing handles on the street. Now, as far as the seat height goes, from the ground up, it's 32 inches. So keep that in mind when you're trying to size this out to see if it will fit you. They do have a nice long padded seat, so this should be pretty comfortable while we're out riding. Now, a lot of these heavier electric dirt bikes have kind of chintzy kickstands on them, and they tilt a lot. It makes us kind of nervous that it's going to tip over, but this thing, we have No worries and no doubts that this thing will keep this bike upright. Do have some pretty nice foot pegs. Would have liked to see a little bit more grip on here. We'll actually open the seat for you to show you the battery compartment. Turn that to the right. The seat comes all the way up. So there is your battery, your 50 amp hour battery. And you also have a circuit breaker there. I'm not really a fan of this one because you really have to reach in there to push it down and up. But to turn off the breaker, you just hit this little red button here and that will go into the off position. And then you've got to reach in there and flip it up to turn it back on. In a future video, we'll show you how to remove and install the battery. And to close this, just bring it down. And it'll lock into place. Tapia makes some really nice aftermarket seats for these. So we're going to look into getting one for this bike. You also get a decently bright tail and brake light with built-in turn signals. We'll show you those in just a second. All right, so moving to the front of the bike, you have your upgraded KKE fork. And guys, this is super beefy and the suspension seems really plush and really nice. So we'll see how that is while we're out riding. Again, you have your 220 millimeter rotor in the front, along with your XOD 4-piston hydraulic disc brake. Here's your CST chunky front tire. You have a really nice front fender. I actually like the look of this, and it's actually pretty solid. I really do like the front plate here to cover up all the wires. It's very solid, along with your Goat Power Bikes logo. Here is the upgraded front headlight. We'll show you that in just a second when we turn on the bike. But you get low and high beams. And apparently you have built-in turn signals in the front. We're going to see if those actually work. Not sure if you can see them here on the sides. But if they don't work, we're going to see about getting those functioning. There is a blue wire behind here, along with a couple other wires that are capped off. And we'll see what those function as. You also get your direct mount on here for the handlebars, and these are the new riser handlebars, which is really nice. And obviously most people are going to upgrade to a riser handlebar anyways, so it's nice that they throw those on for you out of the box. All right, so sitting on the bike, super comfy, and the seat is really comfortable. It's really long, so depending on how big you are, there's a lot of different seating positions that you can choose to make sure you're nice and comfortable while out riding. So we'll start left to right, going over the updated controls. And before we do, we'll power on the bike. So make sure your breaker is on. We'll turn your key to the right. You get this nice loading screen with the Goat Power logo, but really beautiful, full color display here. Now, starting from the left, you do have your left grip. And guys, I do not like these grips. These are super unsafe out of the box. Check these out. These move a lot without even having to use much force. So Goat Power Bikes, make sure you get something on here like a locking grip or something that will not move like this, because when you're braking and stuff, going the speeds that you do on this bike, especially while riding on trails, these grips are going to be super unsafe. And also you have a lot of dead rubber on the end of the grips. So it feels like these aren't fully installed, but guys, these are all the way on. You just get a lot of dead rubber on the end of here. So I hope that these get fixed really quickly. You also get your left brake lever along with your updated controls. Now this bike does have a reverse feature. So you just hold this down and then twist the throttle and the bike will assist you in going in reverse. Now you do have your plus and minus buttons for your different riding modes. So to get the bike ready to ride, you just want to squeeze the brake, and here we go. We are ready to go. So there is Eco, that's your lowest level of power. And then there's Sport in the middle. And then your most powerful mode is Sport Plus. And obviously that's going to be the mode that we stay in the most. You do have a horn, and honestly, it's not that loud. We did put our TAC 4 mount on. Moving over to the right-hand side, you have your full twist throttle along with your right brake lever. And these are your controls for your headlight. Now you do get a headlight button to turn this off, which is really nice to have that built into the bike instead of having to install it yourself. So there is your low beam, and you can switch to your high beam there. Really bright. Nice to see that it has both low and high beams. Now here is your turn signal switch, and we'll turn that on and we'll see if the turn signals are working in the front, which in the reflection, I don't see them working, but we'll see about how to get those working in later videos. Now we'll go over our display. Here is your headlight indicator that your headlight is on, and that goes away once you turn it off, but it does not show that your high beam is on compared to your low beam. Now it does have a sensor on here, so during the daytime, the display is going to be brighter, and at night it goes into a night mode. On the left-hand side, you have your power meter in kilowatts. Now we'll look at the right-hand side of the bike real quick. You have your chain here. This is a 420 chain. We would have loved to see a 428 chain on here, so maybe in the future versions of this bike, we'll see that. But again, this is direct drive chain driven, so no jack shaft or gearbox, so motor to sprocket. So this should be a pretty loud bike. So we're guessing it won't have as much bottom end torque as a jack shaft or gearbox driven electric dirt bike. All right, so there are the specs and features of the Dirt Goat 96 volt V2 from Goat Power Bikes. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. Get back to everybody. So let's take this thing out and see how it performs. All right, so we're on the Dirt Goat 96 volt V2 from Goat Power Bikes. Guys, this thing right off the bat feels solid. We're gonna do a brake test. Storm drain here. Oh my God, yeah, we locked them up. Oh dude, those brakes feel good. And I let those go once we started sliding, but those are solid. All right, we're in eco mode. We're gonna do a speed test in eco mode here. We have our GPS going on our phone. All right, so we hit 29 miles an hour GPS, and it's saying 30 on our screen, so just a little bit off. All right, and we're gonna bump it all the way up to Sport Plus and do a speed test here. All right, so not quite 65, but we hit 55, which is more than enough in our opinion. But guys, this thing is pretty loud, but it sounds like it has like a supercharger almost. But that is because of the direct chain drive. Oh my gosh, dude, that is sick. That is awesome. So right off the bat, definitely loving the throttle curve. So it has a smooth throttle curve. So it's not super aggressive as far as the torque goes. And we actually think that's a positive, because a lot of these bikes, you know, you accidentally twist that throttle too much and you're going back, you're gonna loop it. I think the throttle curve is excellent. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down to Sport and see what we can top out at for a top speed in Sport. So we topped out at 55 miles per hour in Sport Plus. We topped out at around 30 miles per hour. I think we got 29 in Eco, which for most people might be more than enough. And then we're gonna see what we top out at in Sport. And guys, the throttle curve as far as Eco goes is nice and slow to start. Oh wow. Oh my God. All right, so we topped out at 43 miles per hour in Sport. So I actually like the way this throttle curve is programmed and tuned. So in Eco, it starts out really slow and easy, and then you get kind of this like turbo boost, and it starts getting you going up to around 30 miles per hour. Now the Sport is a little more aggressive, and you really get that boost around like 15, 16 miles per hour. Oh my God. Go up to Sport Plus. And then the Sport Plus gets you going right off the bat. But it's nice and smooth, so it's not jerky or aggressive, which again, I absolutely love. So yeah, so you get that boost around like probably like 8 or 9 miles per hour in Sport Plus, but it's really smooth as far as the power delivery goes. Definitely found our new favorite bike. This, my God, this is awesome. And I think they really nailed that throttle curve. I keep mentioning it, but guys, that's really important on bikes like this. You don't want something that's going to be too aggressive right off the bat. Even a beginner could jump on this bike and be okay with it. So if you give something like a Sur-Ron or E-Ride Pro to someone that's never been on one of these, there's a good chance they're going to loop it because they're not used to that power and they don't expect it. But even on here, even if they pull that throttle right off the bat, it takes a little bit to get them going. Yeah, this is, I mean, this is really ideal. So let's see, pull the throttle. So yeah, so it definitely wants to get up, but it's not going to throw you back. It's not going to loop you right away. You know, if you're a lighter rider, if you're not 260 pounds like we are, you may get more torque and it may want to throw you back a little bit more, but God, this is awesome. The riding position is really nice. That seat is super comfy, and I'm sure it's going to be even more comfortable with something from Tapia seat, but we can really move all the way back on the seat. So bigger riders should have a lot of comfort on here as far as where they want to sit. We have a lot of different choices. You can move all the way up to if you wanted. Now the screen, I'm sure it has something to do with the plastic, but it's a little glary. We're gonna go back here and see how it does on our hill. Promise a squirrel. I think that rear chunky fat tire really helps on terrain like this, like rocky, loose terrain, and also dirt. It's going to help with. Let's go up here. Oh yeah. And it's easy to modulate the throttle, which is nice. So something with crazy torque right off the bat with the throttle is going to be a lot more unmanageable. Yeah, this thing definitely does not lack torque though. I hope you're not getting that impression that it lacks torque. It's just really smooth. Yeah. So it's not like unwieldy. And again, someone that hasn't ridden one of these can get on here in eco or maybe even sport mode and you'll ride it without having to worry about being unsafe. But guys, they really need to get a better grip on here because this thing is moving around a lot. But I actually really like the sound of this. It's noisy, but it's not too noisy. But I feel like I can go over anything on this thing. And the brakes are phenomenal. This thing is awesome. And they improved a lot of stuff from the V1, if you want to call it that. Like the suspension, the KKE is solid on here. It's really beefy in the front, and it takes a lot of those rocks and bumps and stuff and softens the load. That chunky rear tire in the back definitely does not hurt. Now, if you want to see us slap a Supermoto set on here for the street, let us know in the comment section, and also let us know what we should be looking for as far as the tire size or even the tire brand, because I think that's our next step with this bike, is to get some Supermoto street tires on here. And I think the best option is to have a different wheel set for that. So that way we can swap them out nice and quickly. My God, this thing is so much fun. Now we'll have to go into the settings and see if we can play around with some things and maybe get it up to that 65 miles per hour top speed. We're gonna do a hill climb test here, which this thing will have no issues with. All right, so here is the hill climb test with the Dirt Goat 96 volt V2 from Goat Power Bikes in Sport Plus mode. And again, this thing will have no issues climbing this hill, but we're just going to do it because we do it with every single bike on the channel. So here we go. All right, so we got up to 40 miles per hour climbing that hill, and we still had plenty more in the tank. Fantastic bike. Everything we thought it would be and some. But I think we found our new electric dirt bike, at least for now. So guys, there is the Dirt Goat 96 volt V2, brand new from Goat Power Bikes. This thing is an absolute beast. You have your new KKE front fork with your rear KKE suspension that's been upgraded. You have a 50 amp hour battery with Samsung 50S cells. You also have turn signals built in to the rear tail and brake light. Really fat, beefy tire in the back, an 18-inch. You also have a 19 in the front, so really good setup for exactly what this thing was designed for. You have a 420 chain. This is a direct drive, chain-driven electric dirt bike. It's a little bit noisier than something like a Talaria or a Suron that has a gearbox or a jack shaft. We're definitely going to upgrade our foot pegs. We would like a little bit more grip on these. Really nice design though. But you have a really nice long comfy seat, which is perfect for larger riders like ourselves. And you can position yourself to be most comfortable on here. There's a lot of different positions you can be on, especially for different types of terrain or obstacles. Here is your controller. You get a nice solid front fender as well as your rear fender here. Definitely loving these beefy KKE forks. Definitely better than the originals. It's a huge upgrade. Love the new headlight. Definitely going to get these turn signals working in the front if we can. Love this heavy duty plate with the Goat Power logos on the front. They also give you a nice riser handlebar right out of the box, so you don't have to upgrade. Really nice, large, colorful display with your upgraded control buttons on here. Definitely love the reverse. Of course, like we mentioned before, the high and low beams on here with the turn signals and your headlight button. You can turn that off. But Goat Power needs to upgrade these grips out of the box. This is a huge safety concern, especially for a bike this powerful. These need to not move. So look at this, not even trying. And these are moving around. You get a direct mount for your handlebars, which is nice. But guys, at the price of $5,250, it's really a fantastic value. They say full power, you can get up to 40 miles of range on a single charge. And the least amount of power, you can get about 70 miles of range on a single charge. So guys, this is a fantastic bike. And of course, we can save you 5%, which is a huge chunk of change on this bike by using code EASYHEIMER. We appreciate you guys helping out the channel. So it helps you guys save some money and also helps out the channel, which we really appreciate it. But guys, if you have any questions or concerns about this bike, please let us know in the comment section below. We get back to everybody. If you want to see more videos with this, let us know your ideas and we'll see if we can get those for you. But guys, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate you. Until next time, peace out.